tune in. It's time for Common Man. Common man, charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in. It's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello.
Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hooty-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
Now what do you think? Amazing event. Vikings.com and Virgo press back too hard. Vikings.com and Revolver Purple Pride. And we can build this thing together. Standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Now what do you think? Amazing event. Now what do you think? Amazing event. Now what do you think? Amazing event. What do you think of Alliance now?
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
Rosa, you don't know nothing.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north.
That's not true at
This
all.
is the common man, Dan Cole.
Vikings win, and so does Common. We're getting taller as each and every day goes by. Little ack, and dack, you and yours. I'm Common, he's 10 to be. I was blowing my own horn there. That's okay, too, because if I just don't want anybody else's lips on my horn, we're here until 3 o'clock. It's a truncated Common Man program. 10 to be, could you look up the word truncated? T-R, I hope I've been using it correctly, Truncated. Truncated. There's no K, I don't believe.
Truncated.
And it means?
Shortened by, or as if by having a part cut off, cut short?
Yeah. So the show has been cut short today. It is truncated. It will be a 2-hour show. It always is during Gopher football and Gopher basketball seasons with the PJ Flex Show, which was live from the Tipsy Steer today. No PJ, right? It was players. Who did we have? It
was the kicker and the punter.
The kicker and the punter.
Yeah.
Well, I guess after a loss like that, there wouldn't be anybody else to put on other than the kicker and the punter. You know what? You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and it's going to happen every once in a while. That's just the way they say it goes. But let's forget all that and give me the number if you can find it, so I can call just to tell you I'm fine. I read the it's let's do some Vikings. Is this Peek at the Purple or is that next segment? Or can we do it?
We can
now?
do it whenever you want.
Well, let's do Peek at the Peek at the Purple, not Pick of the Purple. Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. They are shockingly affordable. Can you give me the electricity sound? I haven't been able to dial up my... you know what? Don't do it yourself. Make sure you go with affordable electric. Okay, now I have it, so I want to do it myself because I like giving myself a shock. They won't start any work until you agree on, once they'll give you the estimate and then they go, okay, you do it. They've been in business for 30 years. They're wonderful people. Alec Lewis writes for The Athletic. Are you familiar with The Athletic?
I'm familiar.
Yeah, it's a, it's a website, does sports, owned now by the New York Times. I wonder what that deal went down for. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think The Athletic started, half a dozen years ago? And I think it was just two fairly wealthy, two gentlemen who were fairly wealthy. And they started it. It's now owned, I think, by the New York Times. It's what Church does, right? Church will start some type of fantasy business.
Yeah.
Then he'll sell it to somebody for millions of dollars and then start another one and sell that one for millions of dollars and start another one and then sell that one for millions of dollars. And I think that's what the guys with The Athletic did. I think that's what I surmise. Could you look up the word surmise? S-U-R-M-I-S-E. Surmise. I think surmise means that's what I'm able to gather. That's what I'm able to figure out. That's what I'm thinking. And I don't know. I'm not sure that this is exactly what happened. But it's a pretty big publication.
Surmise.
To think or infer without certain or strong evidence.
I think I do that every day. Matter of fact, you could, instead of calling this the program, you could call it the surmisum. Because I generally surmise without any evidence of anything whatsoever. But The Athletic did a piece today talking about, I texted Ben Lieber to make sure I had the correct understanding of too high safety. Do you understand all the offense and defensive schemes tend to be and all the language that goes along with it? It's been so long, like I told Lieber in my text today, that I'm not as up to date as I'd probably like to be because I played the game so long ago. Fierce pass rushing, Rock of Gibraltar, run stopping, defensive lineman, precise route running, sure-handed pass catching, tight end. Tell me, those were 1968, 69, and 70. The game has changed quite a bit since then. Lieber liked that. So I said, I'm just trying to get caught up on too high safety. Because apparently that's what the Jaguars did the entire game. As a matter of fact, and Alec Lewis writes, he does a great job writing for The Athletic. Jags used a too high safety approach against the Vikings 92.9% of the time. 93% of the time, that's what they went with their formation. Come heck or high water, they were not going to let the best receiver in pro football, Jets, Justin Jefferson, beat them. That's the most a too high safety formation has been used, and for an entire game, 92%, almost 93% of the time, since 2018. That's 6 years. And apparently the Jaguars decided, remember when we played that soundbite from Doug Peterson earlier in the week, last week before the game? I think we played it on Thursday, because I think it was during a Wednesday presser when they asked him, why is Sam Darnold suddenly found himself here in the NFL? And then he goes, Justin Jefferson. And he goes, then everybody laughs. He goes, well, that's what you were thinking, weren't you? And then he did go on to say, he's maturing a little bit and he's doing this and he's doing that. But everybody knows, right? So they decided we will not let Justin Jefferson beat us. And you saw what happened. They kept the ball for 42 plus minutes, the most lopsided time of possession that we've seen this year. Nobody's had the ball for one game, time of possession, 42 minutes plus. No one's had more than that than the Vikings from this past Sunday. And what that does, it gives you opportunities to get the ball to other people, though. You were able to get Hawkinson caught. I think it was 6 or 8 passes, 6 in the first half, 2 in the second. Addison got a couple of touches. Ollie I just call him Ollie now.
Yeah.
Ollie had a couple of touches. He had a really cool catch, too. He's a pretty good tight end. I mean, he's not going to make anybody forget George Kittle, but he does the blocking.
He's always been a good blocking tight end.
Yeah, and his hands aren't so bad.
He's had some nice catches.
Yeah, he's had some nice catches. So he's turned into a real valuable piece for the soon-to-be big-game world champion Minnesota Vikings. And then AJ, Aaron Jones, he catches some balls out of the backfield as well. So, and the Vikings, I think this is what Alex said in his piece. The Vikings ran the ball more times in one game than they have at any time under KOC this past Sunday. But when you look at the numbers, it wasn't like for as much running as they didn't probably have as many rushing yards as you would probably like to see, but they did the old, we're going to take what the defense gives us. And it did work as far as...
In terms of moving the ball.
Yeah. And it worked for the Jags as far as keeping the ball out of the hands of JJ, because this is a guy since 2022, who averages 103.2 yards a game. That's the most since he's been in the league. 103.2 yards averages per game. He was held to 48 and 5 catches. So they did what they wanted to do.
3 interceptions were
that's it.
all his
Exactly, when they were trying to force it into Jefferson. So Vikings still won the game because the Jaguars offensively were inept.
It's Jaguars, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The Jaguars were inept offensively,
yes.
right? Mac Jones just isn't any good. I'm sorry, maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll end up being the greatest quarterback of all time with more time, better, different situation, whatever the case may be. Maybe if he comes here and works under quarterback whisperer, he'll get better. But maybe
if he had a Justin Jefferson to throw to,
well, that would help. That would help too. So they just don't have much to work with. So if you're the Jaguars, you're probably kicking yourself a little bit and said, God, it worked. Now again, does it work if Sam Darnold doesn't throw three picks? Because even in yesterday's presser, if you look back and hear some of the things that KOC was saying, he basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but what he was basically saying is, if we don't throw picks, we probably dominate that game and win a laugher, because those picks all happen. I think we're in the red zone. I think one was inside the 10-yard line. So if you don't turn the ball over, so it's all about Sam. And then he started talking about Sam yesterday, and it's like, KOC's got this thing with his quarterback where it's all this timing thing where you take certain amount of steps and then you're supposed to have your feet planted this way when you throw. And it's like, are we getting because I played at a high level in 68, 69, and 70, and I did not play quarterback. I could have, but I was more valuable on the line and as a tight end. But is it would just stop with the timing and having your feet pointed in the right direction? Can a guy just drop back to pass and scan the field and look around and find the right guy? I don't know. But it worked for the Jaguars to a certain extent. It didn't work in the very end. They lost the game. But you do wonder, it's the old... Remember when we were thinking, did Detroit solve the B-flow puzzle? Did the Jaguars solve the Justin Jefferson puzzle?
Or the KOC puzzle.
Or the KOC puzzle. And you know what? If they did, but our QB can quit throwing picks, it's not going to matter. Yeah. Right? So it's something to chew on as we go to break. Mark Rosen will join us at 2. Tennessee's got a keyword to try to put $1,000 in somebody's hand.
The Fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword money at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is money. Enter now at KFAN.com.
Just don't stay too close.
Stick around following every noon Vikings game this season for Vikings Overtime, hosted by Meat Sauce, presented by Park Chrysler Jeep in Burnsville. Catch them all right here on KFAN and on the free iHeartRadio app.
I love the Brad, Sean, Bryant, KFAN text line, 64686, also called the Holla Hotline, especially when the Paul Allen Project and Nordo they were at TCO today, right? They do that on Tuesdays. Tuesdays at
TCO Tuesday.
Yeah, TCO Tuesday. Because I like to go back and read it. It sounds like apparently Much of the program, PA was calling KOC a genius. He spent the entire time calling him a genius.
I mean, he is 7-2 with Sam Darnold as his quarterback.
Nords, please tell Paul Allen not to make Kevin O'Connell sound like a genius. Thank you. Then there's, yep, us fans are just dummies, far inferior to the great PA. Here's another. Don't care how close to the team you are, you're as big a rube as any of us, which he is. And then there was this one. Hold on. Today, Barney said that Simple fans would be embarrassed by the coach due to lack of knowledge if they ever questioned him face to face. Barney said, it's not that easy. I always subscribe to Common's take of this stuff isn't that complicated. And there's a fine, I mean, there's a gray area there. Certainly football in this day and age can be very complicated. We just, you have your cover two, your high, so you're doing this and then you're always trying to counter. It's a chess game, they like to say. You're always trying to figure out. As a matter of fact, you know what else Alec Lewis said in his piece? I think it was the Alec Lewis piece. It might have been somewhere else I read it about. For those of you that think the first 25 plays are scripted by O'Connell, they're not. In other words, maybe other coaches do it not that way, but not KOC. By the way, KOC from the McVay coaching tree must be because both teams in Week 10 didn't get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Rams out field goaled at us, though. They had 5 last night. Vikings had 4. That's that McVay coaching tree where you don't score touchdowns, you just kick.
They're really good until they get to the red zone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And apparently it was a defense of, we talked about it yesterday. This text message said, PA 3rd and 1 could have been 2 plays, even on 4th to get the first down. Bad call. No point in spending a ton of time trying to justify it. And what I'm assuming what they were referring to is we had a chance to put the game away. It's 3rd and 1. We get a first down there. We just had 2 running plays in a row, back to back. I think it was coming off a turnover. We're in Jaguars territory. A couple of runs back to back by A. Jones. After coming back with, they put the flak jacket on him. He has the busted up ribs, but he's still out there playing. And it's 3rd and 1, and they decided to go for a long pass. And what happens? And Darnold gets sacked, take us out of field goal range. We got to punt and give them an opportunity to get back in the game. We read the long, rambling dissertation, I guess you could call it excuse computer, from the head coach yesterday saying, well, we were trying to do this and trying to do that. He started doing that coach speak, that football talk right there, the complicated X's and O's stuff that is intended, I think, to just confuse the media and confuse the fans going, this is too high. All right, whatever you say, coach. And he said, maybe we were just trying to get a walk off there. Again, if it works, if he drops back to pass and throws it and he gets a tutty to J.A. or J.J. or T.J., it's all as well. But I did, and again, I like when guys go. I like being gutsy. I do. I like trying for it on 4th down a lot. I like going for 2-point conversions when it seems like you shouldn't be going for a 2-point conversion. I like gadget plays. I really do. I think sometimes when they're called, you talked about it yesterday. We tried that one gadget play. We only tried one on Sunday. And probably wasn't the best place to do it. And it was a long developing play. And I don't know if the Jaguars were ready for it, but they snuffed it out. And we lost yards on it. I think it ended up being an awful play. And
I will say on that play too, this happens all the time. I've never understood why coaches don't coach this up. When you are doing a reverse or a double reverse, where it looks like you're going to lose 7, 8, 9, 10 yards.
Yep.
When they're out of the pocket, why can't they just throw the ball out of bounds?
Yeah, well, they should.
Right? They should be taught to do that. They're not taught to do it.
Yeah.
So you can just get the ball back to the line of the scrimmage for the next down instead of getting a 7, 8 yard loss.
Brilliant. Tenneby, if you were face to face with a coach, you would get embarrassed with a take like that. He would just embarrass you with his knowledge compared to yours. And again, they won the game, but it's fun. That's why I like football. Remember when I would always look ahead, and Rosen would just say, "Enjoy the season." Well, I like looking ahead. I like to play things out. I like, that's the beauty of football, I think is. And so I didn't like the going for it on 3rd and 1 like that. I really didn't. I didn't think there was a need for that. And it sounds like there were other people that probably believe that. And PA spent much of the program today, the Paul Allen Project, trying to defend the coach's decision. And you can. You can defend the coach's decision, especially had it worked. He would have looked like a genius. But on the too high safety thing, Tim, I want to go back to that one more time because I find this fascinating. I'm more of an esoteric approach guy. Stats and analytics and sabermetrics really don't mean a lot to me. But when it comes to this too high safety thing, the Vikings' explosive play rate and explosive pass rate is significantly less when they're facing that too high safety. Explosive play rate, 9.1%. When they're not facing that, it's 17.3%. Pass, 12.8, 22.8. JJ, here's another number that I was not aware of. He has 71 plays. What do they call them? Not splash plays, but explosive plays. He's had 71 plays of 20 yards or more since 2022. That's more than any non-quarterback in the league. That's what he means to that offense, and that's why they called it the Randy ratio. I'm calling it the Justin justification. We have to justify having JJ get the ball. We have to justify the
I think I like Jefferson justification better.
Jefferson?
Just because it's got the more syllables to match the justification.
But Justin justification, I kind of thought, too. Should we put a poll to it? Should we make it a
It's very
program
controversial.
poll? Well, it is. It's the kind of things other shows won't even think of touching.
Should we add Justin Jefferson justification?
The Justin Jefferson justification is what it is. And and so when you have that going for you, you have to try to force it into play. But if these teams, I'm all for teams trying to do the too high safety. I know that means we don't get to see the gritty as much, probably, right? We didn't see the gritty once on Sunday. And we all love the gritty. Everybody loves the gritty. Diddy loves the gritty. Everybody loves the gritty, right? But if they do the too high, he's not going to have as many. He just, if it's done. But if you want to say, beat us in another way, well, we did, and it would have been a beatdown had we not had those 3. We did have those 3 interceptions. You can't take them away. That's like saying you take away Kaufman's 68, 78, 88, and 98-yard touchdown runs. The Gophers played Northwestern really close, right? But if we can, and is that trying too hard to get it on the Justin Jefferson justification, or was that just coincidental that the 3 tutties were targets for Jets? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Now this week, I don't think we have anything to worry about. I mean, but of course, I thought that going into this past game,
the way Darnold's been turning the ball over the last couple weeks.
Like I'm saying,
Any NFL team can compete with you.
I thought going into the Jaguars game that we had nothing to be concerned about, and you sort of feel that way with the Tennessee Titans. That's a terrible team, but like you said, in the NFL, who knows? And if he keeps tossing the ball carelessly like that, trying to force it into spots that aren't there, it could be a long game on Sunday. But I would expect them. The coach keeps talking about working with Sam and getting them to make the right decisions. Don't do this and don't do that. We'll see if that works this week during practice. We'll pause, come back. We like to call it Wild Today. It's hosted by Tenna.
Yeah, this is Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. Not much going on right now for the Minnesota Wild. They're in the middle of a 3-day break after their 2-1 overtime loss in Chicago on Sunday night. This is their 2nd day in a row they've had off. The Wild did send forward Mikey Milne back to Iowa yesterday, so his NHL debut is on hold. He did not appear in an NHL game during his recent call-up on the road trip. The Wild host the Montreal Canadiens Thursday night at XL Energy Center. You'll hear that game right here on The Fan. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795. Vacation is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour until from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head over to KFAN.com. Inflation Vacation is powered by 2 men and a junk truck.
Ticket sales for the next edition of Flop, Sweat, and Tears at Rockwood's Comedy Club in Otsego have gone from moribund to tepid to brisk. People are starting to, it's spreading like wildfire. Meat Sauce, after being booed off the stage at the Mudroom, which was my favorite performance for Meat Sauce ever. It was, when you're watching him completely saturate a beach towel with Flop Sweat, it's delicious. He was brilliant at River Oaks. Matter of fact, he was hard to follow. That's what you fear is that's why I would never follow Monday Night Football guy. That's just too much to follow. So following Meat Sauce can be difficult to do, and it was, but he was very good. We'll give away tickets to the show this Friday before this show is over. There's 2 shows, as a matter of fact. The dinner show is early, the early show, and then the After Dark show. Doors open at 8:30 for the After Dark show. Show starts at 9:30. If you'd like to purchase tickets, you can go to rockwoodsmn.com, rockwoodsmn.com. Either the dinner show, which is early, or the late After Dark show. But we'll give away tickets to the After Dark show before this program is over.
For my own peace of mind, when
Yes.
you arrive to Rockwoods, can you ask them, is it Otsego or Otsego?
Okay.
I've always thought it's Otsego, but I actually don't know.
Yeah, I like saying Otsego.
Yeah.
But maybe it is Otsego. I will ask them. I'll see what they have to. I guess you could call the Chamber of Commerce. Do you think Mark Rosen has any idea where Otsego or Otsego is?
No chance.
He's got no chance.
He couldn't name one city that borders.
Think about it.
Otsego,
Think about it.
Otsego.
He didn't even know when you asked him, name a
Fridley.
city that borders Fridley, and he goes, Blaine. Okay.
Which ain't that far off.
Well,
but,
it was in the North Metro, so
Yeah.
that was a good thing. Tenneby, I think you're one of those simple fans that would be embarrassed by the head coach due to your lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
You've been getting obliterated on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. You had this brilliant idea to have a reverse guy when there's nothing there to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
I've had no less than 13, 14 text messages that say throwing the ball away on a reverse likely results in an illegal man downfield penalty with the offensive line run blocking more than 1 yard downfield, because that's what they would be doing to throw the other team off. And I've gotten 13, 14. Tenneby,
well, there's that.
stick to rubbing your little grubby hockey gloves together and worry about 2-line passes. Give me some more hockey lingo. 2-line
Saucer pass.
Saucer pass and
Mohawks.
Mohawks. Stick. I don't get that one.
That's a type of skating move. Actually, Kirill Kaprizov does it as good as anybody.
It's called a Mohawk. What is it?
It's basically when you're like sticking your heels together and your toes are out like this. I can't. My hips aren't like flexible enough to do it.
Right.
But yeah, so you're almost doing like a little like half circle, like a half crescent moon with your skating motion.
And what's the
with your heels together?
What's the point of it? What does it
It's
do?
just like a quick change of direction.
Oh, okay, very good.
Back in my day, well, we weren't taught to do that.
No.
So, but I think every kid now in Minnesota is going to know how to do it because they've been watching Kaprizov do it.
Back in my day, we didn't employ the too high safety look.
No.
It was man to man back in my day. That's what it was. There was no safeties came over to help, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. The only cover we knew was cover charge at the local tavern. I want to quickly, Tenneby, take a look at the Big Ten blood drive donation standings. Did you know that the Big Ten right now is in the process of doing a blood drive, and they actually have standings? Guess which Big Ten school is on the top of the donation leaderboard with over 2,000? They have, as of this past Saturday, one Saturday before, 2,535 donors.
Well, it's got to be the University of Minnesota.
University of Nebraska.
Oh.
Nebraska has 2,000, and it's not even close. Second is Wisconsin with 1,252. They have less than half the amount of blood donors they do in Nebraska. Minnesota's an embarrassing in the middle of the pack. How about this? Nebraska has 2,535 donors. University of Minnesota has 504. Look, I know we're not going to win the Big Ten championship when it comes to wins and losses by the football team. But can't we grow this a little bit? Can people go out and donate a little bit of blood? Come on. Donate a little bit of blood. It's the Big Ten's this is kind of a public service announcement. Nebraska was bragging about themselves. Somebody sent this to me.
Sure.
Young lady, a listener said, because I think she went to Nebraska, she said, I just thought you should know. Even though Nebraska got beat by UCLA and you were down about the game, you were there, Nebraska is leading the Big Ten in one category, and that's blood drive.
At least they wanted something.
Have you given blood before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Of course.
Too. I've done it here at the radio station.
It has been a while, though. I'd like to do it again.
It's been a while for me, too. My wife is going to do it tonight. I think I'm going to do it sometime in the near future as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you a question that I already know the answer to. Have you looked at the NBA standings lately? And you'll say no.
No.
And I understand that because I don't look at them often either. But I saw something in an Associated Press story. And, we know there's a big difference tend to be between the strength of the NBA East and the NBA West.
Yeah.
I mean, this is... Where are they now? In the Eastern Conference, there are 2 teams over 500.
Correct.
Cleveland is 12-0. They won again last night. They might even be 13-0. These standings,
They're 12-0.
They're 12-0.
I'm looking right now, yep.
12-0. The defending NBA champion Boston Celtics are 9-2. The next best record is 5-5 with Indiana. 5-5. Then I think 5-6, 5-6, 4-5, 4. It just goes all the way down to the lowly Toronto Raptors at 2-9. In the West,
and the Wolves have lost to some of those under 500 teams.
In the West, there are, is it 9 or 11 teams? It's 10 teams.
10 that are above 500.
That are above 500. Starting with OKC, who will be without Chet for, looks like, did you see that fall he took?
No, I did not.
Ooh. When you're that big and that tall and you come crashing down, he's got a pelvic fracture out probably 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Kid can't catch a break. And that wasn't meant to be funny because he got a break. But what was it his first? Is he in year number 3 and he missed most of his
whole first year?
Yeah, he missed the entire first year. That's right. Wasn't that when he was trying to block a shot by LeBron, I think? Got hurt. That was it. He was gone. I think he stayed healthy most of last year. He's one of us. Good kid. Great player. Phoenix, Golden State are both 8-2. Denver 7-3. Houston and Memphis 7-4. Then the Lakers, the Wolves are both 6-4. The Clips and Sac are 6-5, and Dallas is 5-5. So you go down 11 teams as far as if you wanted to say at 500. So there is obviously it almost seems like, and that's just the way it goes because that can change, right? I mean, I don't think the East has been the dominant conference for as long as I can even remember. But it's so much.
Since the Michael Jordan days.
Well, right. How much easier it is if you and again, there'll be a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th seed in the East that won't be very good. But it looks like if you're Cleveland or Boston, you're going to get the number 1 and 2 seed without even trying, right? Because you're just so they continue to play like this. You talk about think about this. Think about if they continue to play like this and the rest of the conference plays like they are. You'll really be able to do load management, rest, get prepared for the playoffs because there won't be as much wear and tear. You can empty your bench a little bit because, even if your record isn't great, it's going to be enough to get the 1st or 2nd seed. You could actually give away games just resting players and using a deeper bench just because there's not much. You can't do that in the West. If you want to be a top 4 seed, which everybody does, you got to win a lot of ball games, right?
Well, how about you already kind of mentioned this, but Indiana's 3rd seed right now in the East at 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
The Dallas Mavericks in the West are also 5-5. They wouldn't make the playoffs now with that record.
That's exactly right.
They're the 11th seed. They'd be knocked out of the playoffs in one league, and then the other league would be a 3 seed.
So, yeah,
obviously that'll change, but
right. But it's obviously a distinct advantage to be in the West if you're an elite team, because now you can say, well, then you don't get battle tested. Trust me, they're battle tested. The Celtics won the whole thing last year playing in a weak West or weak East. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Have you watched much of the Victor Wembanyama character from France?
Not a whole lot, no.
I've not either. I don't know if I've actually watched. I've not seen an entire game with him. I've seen the highlight package or two. He's played 82 games now in his career. Okay, coming from, I think he was a rookie last year, I believe, and then this year. So with games missed, last night was 82 games played. Last night he had 34 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks for San Antonio. Is that a good night?
That sounds pretty good to me.
34, 14, 6, and 3. With last night's performance, you couple it with his other 81, Teneby, he joined. Let me see if you recognize any of these names. Heard of Oscar Robertson before?
Heard of that one.
The Big O. How about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? You're familiar with him?
Heard of him.
Are you familiar with Larry Bird?
I think so.
Blake Griffin?
His name doesn't seem to fit with those other 3, but yes, I've heard of him.
Nor does, who's Sidney Wicks?
I have no idea who Sidney Wicks is.
Can you Google Sidney? Yeah, Blake Griffin, he had a stretch where he was, he could be in the league. I don't know. He might even play for the Wolves, and I don't know. They're the only players in league history with 1,700 points, 800 rebounds, and 300 assists in their first 82 games. That can't be right, can it? In 82 games, 1,700 points, 800 rebounds, and 300 assists? To me, that sounds like something you'd get in your entire career. This isn't 82 games.
Sidney Wicks was selected by the Portland Trail Blazers 2nd overall in the 1971 draft. He was named NBA Rookie of the Year, 4-time NBA All-Star with the Trail Blazers, and I'm about to learn something here.
Okay.
I never knew this franchise existed.
Which one is that?
He also played professionally for the Boston Celtics and the San Diego Clippers.
Oh, the San Diego Clippers.
Didn't even know that was a franchise.
I thought they were an ABA team. That's the American Basketball Association.
Okay.
It has to be. The Clips. Or maybe they morphed into the LA Clippers. I don't know. Those numbers are astonishing to me. 1,700 points, 800 rebounds, 300 assists in their first 82 games. And Chris Paul, point guard extraordinaire, this is what he said. He doesn't even think we've seen the best from Wembanyama yet. And maybe we haven't. I mean, this is only 1 year into his career. Listen to this. This is what Chris Paul says. I wish you guys could see the work that goes in, day out. You know how talented he is, but his will to want to get better, his will to want to work on things. The more games we play, I think we all will get more and more familiar with each other. So in other words, he believes, and these guys talk all the time, especially basketball guys love cocking off, right? Love flexing. How can this guy get better? He's already, I don't know if he's the best player in the league. I would leave that to the, Minnesota Timberwolves super fan, Dan Barrero. Leave it to the Johnny Krasinski's of the world, the other people that really follow basketball, that love the game of basketball. Leave it to the people in the basketball community. But I got to think, if you were going to start a team, I don't want to dismiss Ant. And sometimes these big guys can be injury riddled. Tend to be, if I was starting a team, you got to take Victor Wembanyama, don't you? I mean, I don't know.
Not to.
I don't know how you couldn't. And I know Ant's really good. And look, I'm probably leaving out names. There's probably guys out there that I don't even know their names that are really good players. I think I'm familiar with most of the big names in the NBA. You go, who's the kid for Boston? You got the Jason Tatum guy. Yep. I mean, I get it. There's players all over the league. We know Steph Curry, I think, still has a lot to go. Bronny James is going to be a superstar eventually. That's why the Lakers selected him. Why wouldn't they? Oh, sure, his dad just happened to be on the team. But come on, Tenneby, you don't just throw away a second-round pick on a guy that you don't think has a chance to be a superstar player. But those numbers are just astonishing to me. Wembanyama was named Rookie of the Year, was second to fellow countryman Rudy Gobert for Defensive Player of the Year last year. Last year, he averaged 21.4 points a game, 10.6 boards, 3.9 assists, and led the league at 3.6 blocks in 71 games. Aside from averaging 4 blocks, his numbers are slightly down this season. But he's feeling better after a long summer with the Olympics. Saturday at 24, 16, and 7 blocks in a loss to Utah. He set a career high for 3-pointers by shooting 6 for 9 against the Jazz. It was his third career game with 20 points, 10 boards, 5 blocks, and 5 3-pointers. It's the most in league history, surpassing 2 such games by Boston center Kristaps Porzingis. Wembanyama was 6 for 12 on 3-pointers against the Kings to match his career high. After a sluggish start that saw his 3-point shooting dip to 25%, Wembanyama is 14 for 27 on 3-pointers in his last 3 games. Everybody can shoot a 3-pointer now, though, right? It's the simplest shot in basketball. It seems like they all score. Everybody shoots them.
Edwards can shoot it now.
Yeah, well, and I read another piece, and you'll see these occasionally. I think it's clickbait stuff where, and these are, and again, I know it seems like most of these opinions are coming from the guy to say back in my day. But basketball is so different now. There's, it's just played different because, when you have the 3-point shot, and because, Teddy, last I checked, a 3-point shot is worth 1 more than a 2-point bucket. So it just seems to make sense to me. You might want to shoot more 3-pointers, but now it's just become a game of 3-pointers. Teams are throwing 20, 30, 40 a game. It's like after a while, it's like, it's sort of like when football went to just strictly passing the ball, or when baseball now has gone to basically hit a home run or strike people out. Hockey seems the one game that doesn't seem to have changed much, right? It's still, or has it? Am I missing something?
No. They've done 2-line pass and trapezoid and all that stuff. But yeah, for the most part.
But as most part, you try to pass the puck around and get it to a guy open and shoot. That's what you try to do, and the guy tries to save it in these other sports. And I'm not even suggesting it's a bad thing. The 3-point shot can be very exciting. Wembanyama said, "I'm just taking better threes. Of course, it's feeling better. I'm 20. I'm hoping for some years it's going to keep feeling better and better. There's no reason for it to feel worse." Phenom, man. But, we got Ant. And that's all we need. And as long as Spoelstra, is it Spool or Spole?
I think it's Spoelstra.
As long as Spoelstra doesn't continue to live rent-free in Ant's head, Ant's going to be a mighty fine basketball player. Let's take a break. The legendary Mark Rosen, I just saw him walk into Master Control Studio. My guess is he'll spend some time. The two of you will be there, and they're ripping me.
Yep. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, that's you'll take cheap shots at me. That's fine.
And then he'll walk into your room, and you guys will rip me. And then during commercial break, you'll come over here, and we'll rip Rosen.
Yeah,
so it's just a circle of life.
That's exactly what we do. It's so much fun. Let's do some ripping on the other side of the break. It's the Common Man program here on The Fan.